So a couple of caveats. We've been working with Rigetti. I really appreciate them bringing us out today. It's one of my favorite partners, for sure. Dave's one of my favorite people to work with, and I really like this new integration approach that they're taking. So what I'm gonna do, though, is we've been kind of like just sitting for a couple of years, doing stuff. We're software developers. We're not physicists. We've hired some amazing physicists to work with us. But our expertise is pretty much in what Dave was just talking about. Software architecture of these data centers, building large, complicated platforms. And Rigetti has an amazing set of tools that we wanted to give to our users. So we currently have a beta going on. There's a ton of people in there. If for some reason, because a couple of you mentioned it, you applied for the beta and didn't get in there, let me know. But I want to kind of give you an idea of like kind of our vision first, so you can have it into context. We want to see all of you successful. And we think that the key to this becoming an actual industry is community, a lot of collaboration, and a lot of very open tools and tool sets. So our entire focus has been on trying to take the power of quantum and making it available to everyone, just period, full stop. And so to do that, we built a large scalable cloud platform. And on that platform, you can run any language that you want. And you can run, we don't have a language reference. Maybe you want to run Python. Maybe you want to run C# for some reason. Maybe you want to run some other languages. It's all available to you. And we give you access to a whole variety of different tool sets. And so this is super important to us because I believe as a software developer, the number one thing I want, especially when working with a new architecture, is freedom. And what I love about what Rigetti has just talked about, what Dave just went over, is the fact that it creates a lot of opportunity for freedom in working not just with algorithms, but specifically on running different applications. The circuits I'm going to show you in a little bit are simple. They're simple so that you can see them and understand what we're doing. They're toy circuits. But you can use this platform of Strangeworks and Rigetti to work on anything that you can imagine. And I'll be happy, I'll be around all day to talk to you about it, walk you through it, open my laptop and do some things if we need. So for us, this is all part of a very large ecosystem that we want to help go. We're not trying to be the dominant player in an ecosystem. We're trying to be catalyst for making sure that an ecosystem exists. And that's really important because you have companies and quantum teams working on problems, and you have a whole set of resources that aren't being tapped. There are 23 million developers worldwide, and we have taken things like the Strangeworks community partnership with Stack Overflow, and in 2 years grown it from 100 people to over 7,800 people. So that's a lot of people, and they're not all top physics experts or super software developers, but there's a lot of brain power in that community. There's other communities we're tapping to in Japan, 5,600 people there. There's other communities we'll be announcing as we get out of beta and we launch the product. That's a lot of people for you to be able to collaborate with and to work with. And I think right now, we're not at the phase of AMD versus Intel. It's kind of like more like vacuum tubes versus little mechanical gates. And we all need to collaborate if we want to see this really come to fulfillment. So understanding a little bit about what we've done, building the software platform, trying to build a community around it. We've been working with Rigetti for the entire 2 years we've been around. And when Dave reached out about this new change, being able to take and have this containerized environment available to us, we got super excited. And we got super excited because it allowed us to create a seamless, and I'm going to use that. Dave said, maybe not seamless. It was very seamless for us. My joke is that the physicist on Rigetti's team and the physicist on our team spent an infinite amount more time talking about the integration than it actually took to implement. But because they allow us to put these containers in, we were able to take our platform where you can run any code that you want, Circ, PyQuil, whatever. It's completely agnostic of software or hardware. Prepare that, and then transmit it to this embedded plugin in the Rigetti QCS. So just like Dave described, we're able to take our software, extend it out in the Rigetti data center, and then communicate directly with the QVM or the QPU. And for us, this was amazing because we already are a containerized environment. We already have a plugin established around that. We're able to tie these two together and do some really, really cool stuff. And so I want to show you kind of what we do. And for those, how many of you are in the beta and have seen the platform? Should be none, 2. So just to give you an idea, when you log into Strangeworks platform, it's pretty simple. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. But you've got basically a project area here in the center. We do support Jupyter Hub and Jupyter Notebooks. You got updates on the side. You got some news. You got the Stack Overflow questions integrated. What's kind of cool is they're all fully integrated. So you actually can search for something like qubits, and you can search among 2,300 questions that have been answered by the community of physicists and developers. There's, of course, some news and archive papers, and our best part, which is a library of experiments, because most software developers, like me, need a starting point. They need a Grover search algorithm example, or an entanglement example, or maybe a teleportation example to get started. And so that's kind of, very quick overview of what it does. Let's talk about what we did with Rigetti. So, like I said, we wanted to build a small, simple circuit, and we wanted to use this new container architecture to be able to talk to the QVM and the QPU in one experiment. And so what we do here is we're going to go into this Pi-cool Rigetti QCS experiment. And then when we open it up, you can see we're basically going to just have a simple entanglement program here that's going to run first on the QVM and then on the QPU. And so in this one experiment, we're going to run on the simulator and on the hardware at the same time. So if we run this experiment, then we'll get the result back. So this is, again, going into the container environment in QCS to our plugin, and then bring back the results. So you can see we have the Forest framework, Strangeworks is the provider, and the back end right there. And we ran 10,000 iterations of this. And then below it, we have the bits and counts, and below that, we have the running on the actual machine. Now, that's kind of cool, but it's a toy circuit, and it's kind of a toy experiment. So you're trying to decide frameworks and languages, and you heard Dave talk about how now they can support Chasm, right? So what a probably better example would be is what if we ran multiple languages, the same experiment, for this entanglement on the QVM, or better yet, why don't we run it directly on the QPU? So what if we took Pi-cool, Qiskit, BlueCat, Circ, and we put them all into one experiment, and we sent them all across this new integration to the QPU, execute them, and round-trip them back. And so if we did that, that would look like this. We'd open this entanglement experiment where we have, again, Pi-cool, Qiskit, Circ, and BlueCat, and we'll run them all together. So we take a look at the experiment here. You see we're going to import each one of those frameworks. We're going to set up the Rigetti targets. Basically, take each one of these and run it at one time from Strangeworks Cloud over the internet to our plugin sitting on the Rigetti QCS, and then back again. And so this is pretty cool for me as a software developer, because what I know is all these different frameworks, all these different things, for the most part, can give you different results. Every time, how many of you are using Qiskit, right, for anything? And when it updates, does your stuff break? Probably, right? So it's nice to have all of this updated and put in the same system, but it's really good. We run this program, and we'll get the result back. And what we'll see is we get a result back tailored in for each one of these experiments. So there's, again, Forest, run on Rigetti. We, of course, generate a nice simple circuit gate of it, and it's running on the 14-qubit machine. We scroll down a little bit, and we're going to be running, instead of Forest, we're going to, so let me see these, sorry. So here's our results we see. Here's Qiskit. Again, running in Rigetti, running on the 14-qubit machine, same kind of thing, Circ, and then, of course, BlueCat. So you can, through this Strangeworks Rigetti integration, literally work in any language you want, in any framework you want, with multiple frameworks and languages in the same experiment, and that includes full program execution. So you can write all of your classical code in the one experiment, go to your Rigetti code, use Forest, send it across, bring it back, run a classical operation again. So these two things integrated, I believe, are super, super important to the stage we're at in development, and to trying to build these experiments, and to trying to learn all of the unknowns in building a strong software developer community. And I think what Rigetti has done by making these containers available to companies like Strangeworks is nothing short of fantastic. It has made it much easier for us to integrate. It has made it much faster. Integration time, little less than an hour. Took our plugin, they gave us access, we put it over there, did a couple tests on the QVM, then said, hey, can we use the real machine? And they were like, whoa, slow down. You're software guys, right? Not physicists. But we did it, super fast, super easy. So I'm happy to talk about it to any of you. I'm happy to talk to you about the platform or our opinions on the integration. It has been the easiest time we have had integrating with the platform to date. It has been the fastest as far as the time it took to integrate, and has been the most flexible in the fact that they're giving us access not just to the QVMs, but the QPU directly. And as they move into this new architecture Dave talked about, and this new system where there's priority time and queuing, we couldn't be more excited to be a partner with Rigetti. Thank you very much.